Episode is a long, what was it? A long wait. Like, if I check, I think that EXO Kitty might have been in my January watches. I feel like oh, not that one, but yeah, I feel like it was in January watches, and I obviously also did a podcast episode on that if you haven't listened to it, but that was just me going through all of the things that I watched in January. But I know that that EXO Kitty was on that list. I think I'm scrolling right now. Yeah, like I watched that in January because obviously season 2 had come out. And I'm gonna be talking about obviously like I'm usually my format of these episodes just talking about like yeah, well why you should watch EXO Kitty. Like don't be afraid. Like yeah. Also quick PSA. I feel like with septums, yeah, like if you have one, don't take them out repeatedly. Because it's just you reinserting it every so often, every once in a blue moon. And it's very difficult because I every time I do it, I'm like, I'm not a piercer myself. So why am I re-piercing my own pierce? Like, yeah, why am I re-piercing my own piercing? The sentence sounded weird, but I meant what I said. Anyways, onto the episode. Of course, with EXO Kitty, because obviously there's one point I want to zoom in on, like very much so. When I get there. But like, of course, I think the whole discourse with EXO-K is that it's very much like Korea Boo. That's what they say. I think that's the term. They feel like it's very much like, yeah, like even let me even search it up as well because that's what we do on here. Like, let's see what the people are saying. Because there is some. Do you know what I mean? Right. So it says EXO Kitty has faced criticism for its over reliance on dramatic love triangles and the character of Kitty, who is often described as annoying and oblivious to cultural norms. Many viewers found the constant shifting of romantic interest within the love pentagon to be repetitive and lacking in depth. Additionally, the series has been criticized for its portrayal of Korean society, particularly the perceived overgeneralization of LGBTQ plus acceptance and the unrealistic depiction of the school environment. So they said, here's a few more, love pentagons and repetitive storylines, Kitty's character, portrayal of Korean society, school environment, character development, miscommunication trope, and acting. Interesting. The people said they don't like the acting. Okay, I feel like I want to go through most of the things that was just mentioned. The main thing actually, there's a point that I'll mention right now is that the main thing that I want to get across was that, like, I feel like EXO Kitty is for the Wattpad girlies or people who spend their days on Wattpad. I do feel like it's very much coded like that. So that's why I do think, like, in terms of the audience and people who like it, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like it hits the mark on that. Like, it does everything that needs to be done. And yeah, like the Wattpad thing is its thing. So it's like it's cringe, but it's also like it also has potential. I feel like it's almost like it's so bad it's good, which you be like, what? That makes no sense. But like, yes, it's so bad that it's good. You're like, oh my gosh. Yeah, because this is what I mean. People will know what I'm talking about. Like, if you used to read loads of Wattpad stuff, like, Wattpad stuff was not that great. Like, Wattpad is for people. I mean, Wattpad, like, there's mainly Wattpad stories, yeah, which is mainly like fan fiction and all that kind of stuff. And back then it was all like, yeah, it was crazy. I mean, After started on Wattpad, right? Which was just Tessa and Harden, right? That started on Wattpad. And that just tells you everything you need to know. Like, there's stories that come out of Wattpad that are, yeah, like a treasure trove. They come out of there and they come out and they're good. And I feel like Exo Kitty is similar to that because, of course, some of the, some of the stuff you highlight about it is a bit like, and you're like, it's a bit like, yes, it's a bit weird and it feels forced at times, but then there's also something about it that begs you to stay. I will be I will be talking about that, don't worry, like we'll get there. But yeah, like I and like first things one thing I'll say quickly is that I enjoyed both seasons, like as in like yeah, season 1 and 2. I enjoyed them both. Like yeah, I enjoyed both of them. I think what was the thing that everyone was talking about was that they didn't like how like the last season I think had more episodes, I think. Yeah. So season 1 had 10 and season 2 had 8, and people they weren't really a fan of that, and I also wasn't. So you are seen, you are heard. I didn't like that either. So it was a thing like yeah, that was something they should have probably fixed on. But then I also think it's the way that like marketing a show works. Uh they want you to come back for more. So it's either 10 or it's 8. But then the 8 is like for you to be more like, yeah, to be more in doubt, or to be like it to be on your mind, because that is exactly what Jenny has done. Like literally, people have been talking about season 3 of Exo Kitty since season 2 finished for like, I don't know. They've been talking about it for ages. Like, if you haven't heard all the stuff, then I don't know where you've been. But, like, they've been talking about it and they've been like, oh my gosh, only had 8 episodes. And oh my gosh, Jenny Han, we need season 3. And then I think season 3 news recently did just come out. So, yeah. So that's a win. That's a win for the XO Kitty viewers that obviously the season 3 is being made. And I think I was talking about it the other day, but I thought they're going to start filming, or I think that they have started filming already, or like they already said, like, yeah, so it was renewed, and yeah, the renewal was announced on Valentine's Day. So yeah, which was actually really lovely. I think I remember, yeah, they so yeah, they announced the renewal on February 14th. But so let me go back to the headings and the topic of the criticism, because obviously that was where I said I was going to go through it. So the headings I just had they were completely different. That's a bit weird. I typed it and then it was different, but hey ho, it's the same thing pretty much. I think there was one that I wrote. I mean, there was this in this list. There's some that are completely different actually, but don't worry, we're gonna start anyway. So, love pentagons, right? So it says the series focus on Kitty's multiple love interests is seen as a source of unnecessary drama and a deterrent to character development. So, because when I was going through these headings, I was thinking to myself, which one do I feel like I have the most issue with, or not even actually not issue, but the one that I have the most to say about, I feel like, which probably would be Kitty's character, right? The subject of Kitty's character. That's one I probably do have a lot to say on, but I think the rest of them, not so much. Because obviously the thing with the love pentagons and repetitive storylines, I would say that like in terms of that being one of the things of the criticisms, I would say that yes, there is a lot going on in Kitty's story as such. But then I also think they wanted to I don't know, like, I think with XO Kitty they wanted the show to feel inclusive, which was obviously also probably why they made Kitty have this whole, like, what was it, yeah, this whole sexuality, I don't know, like, as in her figuring out her identity. I think that's really what the angle they wanted to do, which I guess was why they felt the need to do the whole multiple love interests and to have all these love triangles. But I feel like this is a thing, like, this is what happens in shows, or just, I think the thing that I'm talking about, probably the need for love triangle, which was why it was one of my first episodes that I did, because I was like, love triangles are a thing that, like, I don't know, I feel like they're overused, and then I think because they're overused, it's a thing where, like, yeah, they can be seen as unnecessary. And it's just like, I don't know. Of course, it's like, oh, it's interesting because it's even what I was talking about, obviously, in the first episode. I was talking about the fact that, okay, love interests are interesting because it's about choosing sides and putting us, I don't know, yeah, putting us against or trying to root for the main character's best interest. So that's all well and good and all well and great. But then I feel like, obviously, like how the thing on Google says, like, the keyword being, like, pentagon, and, like, that's the thing, like, it's not even a triangle, it's a what's the word, well, yeah, exactly, it's not a triangle, it's a pentagon. So it's just, it's like, it's too many different people to keep up with. So, because I guess and then I guess it's Dae, Minho, and also Yuri. I don't know if there's anybody else. Oh, sorry, it's 4 people. Well, then, I mean, I guess that's from the last season. It's 4 in total. So that's why it's not a love triangle. It's a love pentagon. And I don't know, like, I understand that. Yeah, I feel like I agree. Like, it is unnecessary. So that's why I told you guys about the whole, like, I mentioned the whole Wattpad thing, because I was like, this is the thing, like, sometimes, like, writing and, like, show direction, it's not always up to par. Like, it feels like it could be something that, yeah, that you would read, where it's like, you wouldn't have so much of a criticism or a problem with it if it wasn't adapted. Do you know what I mean? If it wasn't a proper show, like, yeah, you wouldn't probably have so much of a gripe, because it's just like, I guess it's like, when you think about shows, you're just like, you know, do better. We think about that because literally that's why I'm like, with my podcast, is like, you think about that with shows and movies. You're like, we accept shows and movies, like, as 2 different concepts. For them to be like, yeah, at its par, and we're like, we want it to be peak. Like, I sometimes hate using that word to be peak, but, like, yes, you want it to be there, and if it's not that, then it's just like, no. So, but then I also think about the fact that, like, loads of shows get criticism, because it's even how, when I recorded my Big Mouth episode, which isn't out yet, but it will be soon, that, like, yeah, like, Big Mouth received criticisms, and then that surprised me, because I was like, I feel like Big Mouth has, like, so many layers to it, but I think it does so many things right. Like, I know that I was like, because I think in my episode I was like, oh, it's crude, it has all these different stuff to it that make it, like, not be so appealing. But then I'm just like, it also has the representation, and it also has the comedy. That was the 2 main things I think I wanted to bring forward. I wanted to bring about the fact that it's the representation and the comedy, and I was like, that's all you want. And I guess for me, when I would say with XO Kitty, I would be like, what the 2 main factors are. Like, I don't know, because I guess for me, I'm not really a fan of love triangles, so I wouldn't say that's my pull or my appeal. I probably say it's more to do with the fact that Kitty's a covey, so like she's Laura Jean and Margot's sister. It's more like that. Like, I think I like these kinds of stories anyway. Like, you know, when it's like it's a story of somebody who like, yeah, it's a story of somebody who is in like a family, because we got Laura Jean's story, right? We didn't really get a story into Margot's, only a little bit, only a peek, but that was through Laura Jean's like lens, you know what I mean? So it's like we didn't really get a peek into Margot's, but then they obviously gave us a whole series into Kitty, and I think those kinds of stories are always good. So that's why I'm like, that's one of the main factors, and then of her being a covey, and then I guess you could say the other factor being, I don't know, like, I want to say her being, I don't know, I was gonna say her being a foreigner, like, I just being in an unknown place, because that's also another thing. That's her trying to figure out, like, yeah, I think the better word actually probably would be identity, like, as a theme. I feel like that would be another layer to it, like the thing of, oh, I'm in this place that I don't know anything about, and I also want to find out, like, my mother's history. I want to know, like, do you know what I mean? Like, you, and the fact of wanting to connect to your parent that your parent that is, like, also not alive. So yeah, I think those, if anything, those are the main two. Also Kitty's character, that's what I mean. Now I'm going on to the next heading, which is obviously some of the also some of the criticisms, because I think yeah, like, it's Kitty's character slash character development, because people said many find the characters, particularly Kitty, to be poorly developed and annoying. I On the subject of Kitty, I I feel like I found her annoying in To All the Boys I Loved Before anyways. Like, this is what I mean. I mean, I feel like her story is necessary. Like, you know what I mean? Like, obviously, like I said about spin-offs, and when it's another siblings story or whatever, like, that's necessary. But it's like, I found her annoying because, of course, we all know how the story went with her and Laura Jean. Like, she went to go and post Laura Jean's letters, and it was like, nobody asked you to do that. Like, it was very, very unnecessary. It was very unnecessary. It was very unnecessary. It was also rude. But and the thing is that, I don't know, they tried to make that out to be a good thing about Kitty also. They try to make out that her doing the letters is, like, you know, something that's a star quality about her, but I don't think it is. Like, I mean, of course we see that in her own series, because to her to be, I don't know, outgoing slash putting her nose in people's business, like, but, and I think to myself, maybe that might be the thing that people find annoying, because it's like, there's only so much, like, you did it in To All the Boys I Loved Before, and you're still going to continue to be as annoying as you were. And I think it's more like, yeah, I guess that's what the thing was. Also, the other heading that it said, it's character development. So you want, like, I don't know, for her to, I don't know, like, it's giving, like, see the error of her ways, but then it's also like, yeah, you just want her to be better. So I think that's the main aspect for, like, the annoying part, and you just think to yourself, when will Kitty, like, yeah, not do that? And yeah, and I don't know why they want to make it, yeah, they just want to make that one, it's giving like it's a running gag or something. They just want that to be something that makes Kitty Kitty. Like, they want it to be a stamp or a badge, and we're like, no, it's okay if Kitty doesn't do that for the whole entire time. Like, so Yeah. I mean, tell me what you think. I guess do you feel like as a viewer, do you oversee that part of Kitty? Because I just mean people who enjoy the show. Because obviously I'm going for the criticisms, but there's people who like this show, including me. Like so so it's like I think to myself like, yeah, can you overlook it? Like I can. Um because maybe the thing is, I'm probably overlooking it for, yeah, the romance aspect. So that's obviously also another factor. But then I think, no, the love triangle thing's a bit annoying, but I'm saying the romance aspect is obviously what most people would be bothered about. If you don't know, the romance aspect though is as follows: is that Kitty decided to go to a Korean school to be closer to her mother, but to also go over to be with her boyfriend, who everybody would have known from all the boys I loved before. Like obviously into the all the boys I loved before, I feel like it's the last film, of course. I think Always and Forever. Yeah. I feel like so it's the last film of Lara Jean's story where we see Kitty meet Day. Obviously they changed the actor, but let's move on. Like what they did was they used a Korean actor in that film, and then it was a complete different one in the show. But then that's not a big deal because I guess they just wanted to introduce Day, I guess, but they didn't. It wasn't a thing where it was like, oh, that was going to be the guy who was going to play Day in the future. So then yeah, so she comes over for Day, and then all this stuff unfolds, and yeah, that's basically it. Where she meets Minho, and she meets her best friend. I forget his name. Like, hold on. I'm finding it. No, but like, I am. I'm finding it. So, Quincy. His name's Quincy? Sorry, my bad. But this is the thing, I don't really think I really thought about that. But so yeah, so she meets them, and then she also obviously, I feel like that's pretty much the pilot. She ends up in the wrong dorm. And yeah, then you also have Yuri, who was Day's girlfriend, but that's also because of like class and stuff like that. But then the class thing actually brings me obviously onto the next heading, which is portrayal of Korean society, which is something that were very not people were not fond of, and its unrealistic portrayal of Korean culture. Before I dive into that heading, though, I just saw something, obviously, as I was about to start recording this, was that it said, it was on Reddit, and it says EXO Kitty was unbearable, and I was like, wow, unbearable? I mean, of course, obviously, I already touched on, Kitty's character, because obviously it says, for starters, Kitty herself, actually, I'll even open it up, hold on a moment, but then obviously I need to go back to the heading I was just about to discuss, but right, it says... for starters, Kay Hazel's a pretty annoying character. She's completely ignorant of cultural norms, and she pretty much crosses all personal boundaries with literally every single character. They had to ruin anything going on the show, which was Kitty and Rui and Kitty's relationship, even though... Actually, never mind. I'm sorry, but it makes no sense at all for Kitty to have a crush on Yuri. She had a burn hate to her, but saw her DJing, now she saw in love. After all this time she was chasing Day, why couldn't they have just kept Kitty and Yuri as friends? I honestly couldn't keep watching the show, so I stopped at episode 8 because it was so frustrating to watch Kitty fall in love with practically everyone. Valid. But then again, I'm like, she didn't, I wouldn't say everybody. Like, I mean, of course, I already touched on this, I guess, already. Remember when I said about the love pentagon? So... yeah, like, obviously it's unnecessary. No, do you know what? This person's right. You know when you're like, I was like, hold on, I want to be like number one defender. When I was like, hold on a second, no, you're actually very correct. And that's okay. But yes, the person's right because, yeah, like even, I think this is another thing on IMDb. It said love pentagons are never fun. And they aren't because... why is there so much going on? Like, do you know what I mean? As in, I guess even for me, like how I said I'm not a fan of triangles, like pentagons too. Like, no, you don't have to spread yourself that thin. Like, do you know what I mean? But anyway, back onto the obviously next heading, which was the criticism. It says that what's it called? Many viewers have found the show's depiction of Korean life and culture to be sorry. Oh, yeah, many people have found the show's depiction of Korean life and culture to be superficial and inaccurate, especially regarding the portrayal of LGBTQ acceptance. I feel like with that heading, I can't say too much about that, like the criticisms, because I feel like it would be better if somebody would be able to tell you I don't know, like someone who would be their culture. But then obviously, yeah, it is inaccurate. Like, it's not correct. Yeah, it's not correct. I need to also make sure, because while I'm on the subject of criticism, though, I have to make sure that I talk about also the highs. Because, no, you guys might think I'm bashing the show, like, altogether, but I'm not, because I like it, and I I have been watching it, like, that's what I said in the beginning. I have been watching it, and I'm going to be continuing to do so, and I am invested. So, yeah, I'll get on to the positives too, I guess. I'm gonna talk about the positives like nearer the very end, but back on the fact that it says, while the show aims for a teen drama with K-drama elements, it's often criticized for failing to portray Korean culture accurately and for relying on American rom-com tropes. I would obviously agree with this. I do feel like, yeah, it does have a lot of rom-com tropes. And the thing is, but I don't know, I think to myself, even though the Korean culture is done badly, I think to myself, how else would they have been able to do it in a better way? Because the thing of the matter is that obviously Kitty is half Asian, so it makes you think to yourself, how would they really be able to explore it without it being cringe? Like, this is her thing. Like, she I guess they want to try to rely on her American side more than her Korean side, because her Korean side is the thing that she doesn't know much about. That's what I feel like. So I feel like I don't know, I think to myself, if it wasn't a thing where, I don't know, where they weren't exactly, like, it's not even to say, oh, because obviously her dad is white, but it's to say, oh, if we just disregard that whole part of her, it's not to say that, because I feel like she does need both of those. But I think that, like, they just needed to obviously do the Korean portrayal in such a different way. I found the article that I was looking for, and this is an article done by Yi-jun on Medium, and she talks about how accurate EXO Kitty actually was, and then she breaks it down into what did EXO Kitty get wrong? And then, so first, you wouldn't find an international boarding school in Seoul. Most of the international schools in Seoul are not boarding schools, and most of the international boarding schools are out in smaller cities, villages, or the countryside. The most well-known international boarding school in Korea might be Taejeon Christian International School, about a 3-hour bus ride from the heart of school. And second, international schools don't require uniforms. It's the foreign language schools that require uniforms, since, as I mentioned before, they're more like Korean charter schools. They're essentially Korean public schools for the brightest. It says, are international schools really that diverse? What else? Okay, the clickiness of Korean international skills. No, reader, they did not mingle. Do you remember that iconic scene in Mean Girls where we walked through the different lunch tables? That's what it was like day after day. The same girls would sit at the same tables. The boys were a bit more fluid, but we all knew who belonged where. But the thing about Korea is that nerds are cool. In fact, nerd is not even a slur that exists. There's similar like ODOC, more familiar to Western audiences by the Japanese pronunciation. So this was exactly what I was talking about, though. I was talking about the fact that I don't feel like for someone like me, I wouldn't be able to explain this bullet point in a good way. That's why I decided to use the article as somebody who knows and has this information and knows what Korea is like. Do you know what I mean? It's hard to do that. And then what else? Yeah, so what Exo-Kitty get wrong? So did Exo-Kitty get it wrong? Exo-Kitty shows the main character hanging out with literally 4 people the entire semester. This could just be a trope of teenage comedies from any part of the world, but it's not that far-fetched based on my experience. The cliques at my school were a bit larger around than 8 girls, but otherwise we were stuck in our cliques. In terms of racial and ethnic inclusion, it's hard to say because it's been almost 2 decades since I left high school. I have seen how styles become more diverse. I know there's always been both Korean and non-Koreans who are curious about each other, and others who literally don't care as long as you find a connection. At the very least, I'd like to imagine... I thank Jenny Ham. Oh, at the very least, I'd like to imagine kids can hang out with whomever they happen to get along with, regardless of socioeconomic background, race, or ethnicity. I thank Jenny Han for imagining a world like that. Yeah, like, I think that's what creators try to do. Like, that's why I suppose people wouldn't like the K-drama elements, but I feel like creators try to make it as authentic as they really can. Whether or not that it is... they still try to do it. What else? There was another one. Yeah, I think it says, the only thing Exo-Kitty got wrong is that nothing was flashy. If you watch The Glory, you might have noticed something. It's the villains who are super expressive, loud, and flashy, all things that are valued in the West. In contrast, the heroine and her boyfriend were cool and stoic with muted and neutral tone clothes, all things that are valued in South Korea. Right. The wardrobe was probably the biggest hint that Exo-Kitty is an Americanized K-drama. The fits were cute and age-appropriate. They just weren't that believable. Bright orange and neo pink would definitely stand out in Seoul, and not necessarily in a good way. The queen bees I knew didn't wear glittering dresses with big puffy sleeves. Their wardrobes were often minimalistic. Even for dancers, they would wear something elegant, usually one tone and definitely not sequined. This is because it's often looked down on to flaunt your wealth, right? That's interesting. And that's why it says Exo-Kitty is a fun dive into the world of the mega rich. So I guess, of course, that article really does practically explain that, yeah, there's not a lot, like, there's not much that they didn't try to highlight. The way that, I guess if you think about something like When Life Gives You Tangerines, and you think about some K-dramas and the way that they're always promoting or like telling us what the rawness is of those time eras, and I guess of just Korean society in general, and they keep that very authentic, very raw, very genuine. It's like how, I guess, with Weak Hero and then The Glory as well, like how the person mentioned in the article, is that like they try to push forward that bullying really is that serious. We're watching it and we're looking at it like, we're like, is it really that serious? But they want us to know that yes, it is. And I think that's probably maybe what the downfall of that like whole portrayal that Jenny Han does probably is where it goes wrong, because I guess people want to see the real of how it would really look in a Korean lens. But then I'm also like, obviously, like how I just mentioned a second ago, I do think because it does have that, try to do that what's it called? It tries to do that like put like sandwich pack American rom-com tropes that I think it probably loses its way a little bit. And I guess that's to be expected. My next part I was going to, because actually while we're on the subject actually of American rom-com tropes, is that I think there's something that people don't like, which is the what's it called, the miscommunication trope. So, and that happens a lot, of course. That happens a lot with just those kinds of with those kinds of shows. Because I see it that there was a review on Reddit that says Exo Kitty is one of the worst cases of the miscommunication trope I've ever seen. And that this person was on episode 2 and it's already infuriating. So, but does it really need to be that formulaic and bland that they don't know any other way to create drama than to have constant bad communication? And it's true. I think actually with this heading, I guess I can't really use any examples to say how they use it in the show, because obviously that would be spoiling. But I do think that they obviously do have a lot of different things which causes conflicts. I guess the only thing I could really think of, I guess, which maybe would be general knowledge to a lot of people, is that maybe like I feel like what's his name, Minho, probably not like opening up today or really like having conversations with him or really and talking to him about about Kitty. Yeah. So yeah. In the like process of doing this, I'm realizing actually that I feel like this show did get a lot of flack. It makes me feel like I'm one of the only people who really like it generally, which is crazy. But I'm like, I know that I'm not. Like, I know that I'm not. But it's still just like, because the thing is that Exo Kitty does have a large fan base. Like it does. Do you know what I mean? Like I generally feel like it does, but then I do sometimes feel like also the what's it called? The negatives outweigh the positives, and I think even in reflection, and also what we've already covered so far, it makes you realize that yes, this show is also not that good. But I do think it's good to like assess a show in that way. Do you know what I mean? It's a thing where it's not good, like it's good, but it's also a bit bad. Like, you know what I mean? It's good to be aware. Like I think for me sometimes I'm always quick to say, oh, like a show is really, really good. And it's like maybe it's like I don't even know what you call it. Like, is it show blindness? But I don't know. I don't know if that's the term actually. But like I don't know if that's a real thing. But it's like I don't know, you watch something and you just accept it on face value, but you don't look at anything else that's entirely wrong with it. And it's like, that can happen a lot with a lot of shows. But I do realize that Exo Kitty does have a lot of things that doesn't really make it that good, to be honest. Obviously, next I was gonna talk about back to the love pentagons actually, and about how I've been watching Vampire Diaries, and I feel like the Vampire Diaries has a lot of pair of pentagons in it also, and a lot of people in that show, there's not a lot. It's a lot of overlapping. I feel like what I realized, I think I was watching even Vampire Diaries like yesterday, was that like Caroline ends up liking, like she was in love with Matt, but she was also in love with Tyler, and she was having her own little love triangle. And then you have Elena who has Stefan and Damon, and then I guess I don't know. There was also Bonnie when she liked Jeremy, and then but then there was also that witch guy as well. But I don't know if she really did like that witch guy. I feel like she did because she connected on him on a really deep level because they were both witches. But then in the end she chose Jeremy. But it's all like, I don't know, like I think love pentagons are a bit of a scramble, and they do make people like really confused and overstimulated, because it's just like, why is there so many people getting with so many other people? You know what I feel, just another show that came to my mind right now also was Never Have I Ever. But I do feel like Never Have I Ever is like, I don't know, do I feel like Never Have I Ever is better than XO Kitty? Slightly it is. Of course, it's another show that has a love triangle at its forefront again. Obviously I say that with, like, you know, great joy. Not really. That, like, obviously Never Have I Ever, but Never Have I Ever has a lot of different stuff that I feel like makes it like not as bad. But, and also, yeah, it has 4 seasons. It's actually doing well. But if maybe I should check and see if it has criticism. Not that I have ever heard of it having that. But yeah. Yeah, not that I've ever heard that Never Have I Ever has issues. But obviously I do think that it is good. So, and the reason why is that I think you can compare Never Have I Ever and Next of Kitty to each other, because they both have this whole thing of, like, romance and then also culture. I mean, Devi's Indian, and then XO Kitty, and then, I mean, Kitty is obviously Asian, but she's half Asian. And then it's the thing of where, like, they have their romance, they have their love life, but then they also have this whole idea of, what's it called? They have this whole idea of wanting to experience things and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah. This article even touches on what I was saying about the fact that when you realize a show is bad, but it's like, you want to also, because it says here, we want to celebrate them, but praising them without critique of their shortcoming comes at a risk of continuing those mistakes, as if we should be grateful for what we are given. If we celebrate diversity without critique, we make it only more likely for rehash stories with a non-white facelift, which perhaps is the shortest summary of what Never Have I Ever is to me. We stand for representation. That doesn't mean we have to stand for bad writing. So I hear it. And then I feel like this article, basically in summary, the person was trying to talk about how Devi, like, I guess they want Devi to be more developed as a character. And I guess that's also the same thing of what we were talking about with Kitty. Kitty needs to be developed. And then there's also, like, what's it called? Yeah, it has a good message about being proud of who you are. It also has something good to say. Her character arc pivoted. She had been a girl who thought a boy was the most important thing of her life, and that her Indian nerdiness is an impediment on her way to learning to love herself and her culture. And instead, having learned that a rich white boy can actually have a heart of gold, and for a show based on foreign culture, there are perhaps newer messages to share. Right. I guess they're trying to say also that Devi she hasn't what's the word? She hasn't fully embraced her Indian culture. So, and I think this says critiquing diverse media is hard when you need it badly. And this is Everything Wrong with Never Have I Ever, written by Black Nerd Problems. So, yeah, they're right. And I still feel like that's why I'm saying this Never Have I Ever and also XO Kitty, they both have that in common. It's like, you know what I mean? It's like trying to do something which explores that culture, but then there's also American themes. And I don't know, it makes me feel like to myself, is it easier to choose one or the other? But then I don't really know. I know that's not what Jenny intends to do, or didn't intend to do, of course, but it's like it makes you wonder, because then you're hit with so many what's it called? You're hit with so many like problems and you're hit with so many things where, you know, then there's criticisms of the show. I think obviously this article basically just talks about like the fact that it's the writing and that the results are easy jokes with predictable, heavy-handed punchlines written to meet the bottom of anyone's intelligence, and that, what is it? It's unfulfilled promise lives somewhere between forfeiting any meaningful messages for cute comedy and replacing that message with a cliche teen love story of the 90s. So they're just saying deep pit of missed opportunities, an unclear audience, and a revisiting of certain tropes that are tired, if not damaging. And I guess that's the thing. With these kinds of dramas, like, I guess they all just need revisiting. Do you know what I mean? They need revisiting. They need redoing. So, yeah. Oh, I think this was an article about... Somebody said that they think... somebody said that as a South Asian woman, Never Have I Ever is harmful, which is very interesting. Anyway, not to actually talk too much about Never Have I Ever, because actually, if I do that, then I need to make it into an episode. So let me refocus. The next thing, now we're going to unpack the positives. And obviously that's great because I feel like I've been bashing the show for these last 45 minutes. But I want you guys to see the light at the end of the tunnel. So the positives are as follows. Like, I'm getting tired also. So I'm about to run through this. Okay. I would say the positives are... Where'd we gone? Right. Enemies to lovers. I love enemies to lovers. Obviously, we know that Kitty goes over to Seoul, to Korea for Day initially. But then the thing is, that's what's crazy. She goes over there for Day, but then she also goes over there because her mum went to the school. So it's just two things. It was that she really wanted to get into that school, obviously, which is KISS. She got into it. Actually, sorry, my bad. I think the story is supposed to be that she stumbles across just meeting Day there. Like, do you know what I mean? I don't even know if it's a thing of that they set it up like that. I can't remember. It's just she wanted to get into KISS to find out stuff about her mum, and then she was able to do that. She was able to do so. So she went there and she went to the school so she could find more out about her mum. And obviously she basically did that anyways. I feel like she did that like... Okay, no, she's done that both seasons anyways. I feel like maybe in one though, she did find out more though. I do feel like obviously this second season was like... Yeah, it was still about her wanting to find out stuff about her mum, but then I feel like obviously, of course, all that stuff with like Minho was overshadowing it, and that's not a bad thing. Hey, let's not complain. I think obviously that's the subject that I'm talking about right now. So I'm discussing talking about enemies to lovers. That's her and Minho, like in a box. That's them. And they are great. Like, I think that is what makes them so intriguing. You know, if we compare, like, I remember when I was talking about Never Have I Ever, and if you talk about, I don't know, Devi and, like, what's that guy again that she's with, that she likes, Ben? I don't know. I've never really felt them. Never really, it's never worked for me. I don't know why. I watched both shows, but I've never really liked Devi and Ben. I was like, what's the big deal? Like, what's the big deal about them? They're not that great. I feel like Minho and Kitty, there's something more like there, like, yeah. And it was gradual. Yeah, it was gradual. It's somewhat like their relationship is like, it almost resembles, you could say something like Elena and Damon. Do you know what I mean? Almost. Because it's like, you know, will they, won't they? And then it's like, yeah, will they, won't they? Slow burn. And it's like, what's it called? The guy you're not supposed to date. But then I don't feel like Minho's a bad guy. You know what I'm talking about? I'm talking about, it's like, they say, don't hate the bad guy, and that's what Damon is. Damon obviously is the bad guy prototype, and yes, that's obvious. But then I don't think Minho's not supposed to be the epitome or the embodiment of that. He's just supposed to be. I still kind of think to myself, yes, he is somewhat forbidden fruit though, just because he's Dae's best friend. Yeah, probably on that precipice, that's the only thing. But I wouldn't say there's anything about him that makes him like, rugged or reckless. We're like, with Damon, we're like, he kills people. We're like, don't date Damon. He's actually bad. But in fact, he's not. Like, he's not. He's not actually bad. He's good. He's just misunderstood. Sorry. But yeah, he's just misunderstood. But, I feel like, yeah, Minho doesn't have that. But I just think, yeah, theirs is the will they want. They just on the thing because of Dae, and they don't want to hurt Dae or whatever. But I don't know, like, well, I don't know if we really got to see her and Dae's relationship. They weren't really that convincing to me. And I feel like maybe we didn't, because when she gets to the school, then there's that whole thing that they decide to do with her identity of her liking Yuri. And then it's a bit like, we don't really see if she's really into Dae, only a little bit. But do you hear what I'm saying, though? If you've seen XO Kitty, you know what I mean. Because, like, with Minho and Kitty, you're seeing more, like, you're seeing the fact of, like, them growing, like, you know what I mean? Not even a thing where it's just thrown into it and it's just random. Like, Kitty and Dae's relationship feels random. Minho and Kitty's relationship does not feel random. It's like, it's flowing and it's gradual. And it's a thing where he was like, obviously, yeah, he does the scene, his confession scene, he's like, oh, I think I have feelings for you. And it's like, you know what I mean? It's a thing like that. It wasn't a thing where, he liked her immediately. It had to grow. It had to be formed. So that's what I'm saying. And I just don't feel like Dae and Kitty, like, their relationship was convincing. I don't feel like I felt anything from it. Like, there was nothing there. That's also why I'm like to myself, they shouldn't be bothered about Dae. Forget him. Like, just forget him in the nicest way possible. Just forget him. But I feel like obviously season 3, that's basically what they are talking about. Like, that's the potential of what's happening, us to see more of Kitty and Minho's relationship growing, and we don't know if they'll end up together or not. And that is the what's the word? Yeah, that's the power. And I think, yes, Jenny Han's doing a great thing in, in forming, like I said, it's like, will they, won't they? So it's like slow burn and doing all of that great stuff when it's just like, oh, they want to kiss each other, but they don't. But they're pining. And it's close, but it's just not here yet. And we're like, that's a slow burn done correctly. No crumbs. But yeah, I was also going to talk about Ginny and Georgia, because Ginny and Georgia is coming back soon, and that I was going to compare it to this show because I feel like with Ginny and Georgia, though, like, if you want to say that, like, okay, because people were saying that, what's it called? That XO Kitty's like a bit cringe, like, you know what I mean? I think I already touched on that already, didn't I? Basically about the writing, but they would say that about Ginny and Georgia as well. Like, there were so many scenes of Ginny and Georgia that was so weird. Especially like, I don't know. Especially like when that guy was singing for her. For Ginny. And Ginny's such a weird show. Like, when I think about Ginny and Georgia, I'm like, it has potential to be great, but then there's so many stuff in it that makes it weird. Like, oh my gosh. That's what I'm saying. I'm like, it could be so good. And it's like, it's not yet. But we know why it's not, because it does all of that, like, unnecessary stuff. It's what, I'm also thinking of 13 Reasons Why as well. 13 Reasons Why was good. It had a good plot. You wanted to know why Hannah ended up killing herself. But then there was stuff in it, that was just a bit like, yeah, it was just a bit like, why? Like, that's unnecessary. You were just like, that you think you've put in here just feels weird. Like, you know what I mean? I don't know why shows do that. They try a way to like spread awareness on things and then they make it like really forced and weird. So, but I don't want to see. I was about to pinpoint places in Ginny and Georgia where that happened, but I won't do that because you should watch it. And I think Ginny and Georgia is actually supposed to come back like when does it say? Um yeah, I forget what season it is. Is it season 3? Yeah, it's season 3. Or am I telling a lie? Is it 3? Oh, right. I'm right. It is 3. And right, it's coming in June. So yeah. And you know, when I think about Jane Georgia, I feel like, yeah, it's definitely cringe. It's weirding me out even thinking about it. It's weirding me out even thinking about it. It's actually scary. Oh, and final note. Picture You. Everyone was talking about how they didn't like that in the show, and because they obviously feel like Picture You is by Chappell Roan and it's kind of like it's a song that belongs to the gays. And I said, yeah, I get it. It does. But you don't get it. I feel like it fit so well. I don't know why, but it just did fit. Like, it did fit. And you know why it fit? Is because Minaho and Kitty are not together. So that's probably why it fit. Because I feel like Picture You is about, like, yeah, when I picture you, and it's like a, what's it called? A yearning and longing crush kind of thing. So it's like, that's actually them. Like, in a song, that's them. Do you get it? But I can understand people's frustrations. But yeah. So, watch XOK, and share your thoughts, what you think, in the comments. And if you'll be watching the newest season, I mean, or not. Because, you know, I feel like everyone is very, very on the edge of the seats for it. But if you're not, then that's perfectly fine. I definitely am.